Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This video is a thank you to Tracy Fox. She has a beautiful new Christmas kit called Glad Tidings. And I don't use digitals very often, but when I saw this one, I absolutely fell in love. And I knew I wanted to use it, and I had an idea in mind for what I wanted to use it for. And actually, it kind of led me down my normal squirrel path to maybe another series somewhere down the road of how do you use paper that's too pretty to cover or pretty to cut, because that's what this paper is. And so the Stamperia Forest was one. Blue Fern Studios, Jen Bishop has some that are that way. A Graphic 45. There's some papers that you just don't want to cut up. You want to showcase how beautiful the papers are. And so I tried to do that in this one. I did cut them up a little bit, of course, but for the most part, the papers are intact. And what this journal is, it's just, another handmade journal, but I decided it's kind of a December daily advent calendar combination. And well, I'll just get into it. It's designed to be able to use as a December daily, so you can put pictures or memorabilia or stories or whatever you choose to save each day. And then each day you also get a candy or a treat because of an advent calendar. So it's kind of a combination. All right. It has a 3-inch spine, and this one is, what I did is I printed the digitals on 8.5 by 11 paper full size. And I trimmed off the, maybe 1/4 inch white edge, and then I folded over, and that's the size pages I used. That's how I determined what I was going to make this for. And I learned, as I do with every journal, I had salvaged, reaching across. I had salvaged this 2-ring clip from an old journal that I got, I think, at a yard sale for $0.10. And I took the centerpiece out because the journal itself, or the base itself, wasn't worth saving. And I wanted to use this, but because I made thick pages, I wanted them to be able to flip easily, I ordered these instead. And they're the same height, they're the same principle. There's maybe a slight difference. But this one has a flat or D-ring size. You can see that there's a big difference. And I just ordered these on Amazon, and I did 2-ring binder clips, I think. 2-ring binder clips, and a couple different ones came up, and I chose this one because I wanted this flat D-ring side, and it's notably larger. So if I didn't have the thick spine that I created, I would have chosen this one. Which brings up another excellent point before I even get started. I don't use this very often, and for a couple reasons. One, when it comes, they give you these really big eyelets, or I guess they're eyelets or what have you, to close them. And they're really hard to split. I guess maybe you have to have a specialty tool. And it's good that they're thick because you want it to be able to go whatever surface you're mounting it to, but it's also a pain to get those split. Regular eyelets were just a little bit too, their profile was just, where are they? I've got some in this little bin. I find lately when I don't like a messy desk, and so I just throw my little bits in some of these old baking tins. Anyway, so a regular eyelet, and this is a pretty hefty size eyelet, when you put it through, I don't know how well you can see that. It's great if you're using a really thin spine, but I wanted to chunk up the spine, and so it was just a little too thin. So eyelets will work. It's challenging to set it, but again, it does work as long as your spine is thin. So there you go. But that brought me to another point, that when you use the binder, you can see the big gap. I don't want to say wasted space, but you can see the big gap in there from, from using that type of closure. Whereas the Stamperia Forest, and yes, that's coming, I promise, is sewn straight in, so you get a lot more real estate. This one is maybe easier to take things in and out, so if you're wanting to do that, I guess it just depends on what your needs are, really. But just keep in mind that when you've got one of these binders, you're going to have to make your binder cover a little bit wider to accommodate for that extra depth. And since I've got them out here, I'll do the same thing. When I made the Stamperia Forest, I just put canvas directly on top of cereal box. And why canvas? Well, a couple reasons. I like the color. I like the sturdiness. I like how it frays, because I love a good ratty, tatty frayed edge. And 2, I have a whole bunch of it. So that's why I choose canvas. Use what you've got, of course. I always encourage people to use the materials they already have on hand. But here it's just directly on top of the cereal box. So there's no puff. Well, here I had found, I don't know, a while ago, some batting, some brand new package batting at the Goodwill outlet. And so I paid nothing for it. And I put one single layer of that batting. And it kind of gives it just kind of a, I don't know, I don't know how well you can see it on video, but it's kind of a softer, fluffier look. And I think when I do the Stamperia Forest cover, I'll put that one single layer of batting on it just because I like the texture and the dimension that it adds. All right, finally, getting in here. A Sari Silk closure canvas cover on paper. And this is something that, remember, I don't know if you remember, it may be brand new, but I was a scrapbooker for a really long time, and I have a lot of scrapbook paper, which is probably why my journals tend to be thick, because I like using the sturdiness of scrapbook paper or cardstock. Anyway, this is a technique that we did a lot back a long time ago. You know, I started in '94 scrapbooking, and there weren't as many products as when it hit its heyday. And a lot of times what we would do is, like, this is part of Tracy Fox's Glad Tidings paper, and it's just gorgeous. So if you're a digital person and you need something for Christmas, please, Tracy Fox's Love Junk Journals on Etsy, and this kit is stunning. And I'm not going to show you the whole kit because she does that, but back to the cover. Well, what we did and what we do is we fussy cut out, you know, the pieces that would work, and then we combined it with other pieces. You know, like here I didn't use this particular one, but I just took a couple different pieces and then cut out the pieces that I wanted and laid it around the edge of my paper. So I put my paper down. In this case I used a sheet music. I put my paper down and then I cut out pieces to fit that frame, and then I just tucked pieces in. And we did that all the time. It's actually a lot of fun, and it is try to get the glare out of there. A great way to use up some of those papers that you love and create a frame. And then I just took my straight edge and then made a brown cardstock frame to go around it. Just cut it to finish off the edges, and I sewed it up. So that's all there was to that. I, of course, added Nuvo Deluxe Crystal Glaze simply because I like the way it looks. And then I used the Tim Holtz alphabets and die cut the numbers for the date. So that was my method for creating the cover. And these speckles the splatters are kind of like, not altered art. There's a name for it and I'm drawing a blank on it. Mixed media. There you go. I knew I'd come to it. Mixed media technique, and I'll show you at the end real quick. I used gouache. That's, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Gouache, gouache. You can use acrylic paint. I just find I wanted kind of it to mimic the paper, and gouache seems to be a little more muted when it dries. Acrylic paint, which is fabulous for some things, just seems to dry a little bit brighter, and maybe that's the properties of the media itself, and I have no idea because I'm no artist. But anyway, that's gouache around it, and I'll show you how I get that splatter effect. I don't even know how well you can see it, truthfully, but it kind of mimicked the paper, and I liked the way it softened the look. Okay, I'm talking, and I'm not showing. The ornaments are a element of Tracy's kit, and I just used that to make just a little booklet in case somebody, whoever, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do this, if I'm going to gift it. I'm not using it for myself because I have another project in mind, but I don't know if I'm going to sell it or gift it, or I need to pay for all the Yola Boca Flood books I bought the kids, so maybe I'll put it in my shop. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Maybe if there's interest, because it needs to go quickly because it's a December daily and advent calendar, and so it needs to be wherever it's going to live before December 1st. So just vintage bits of lace layered on top of each other and sewn into a belly band. And then here is the paper, the book itself. And this is probably my favorite image. I love Tracy, and her last name is Fox, and so it seemed perfect to put this on the front. And then these are both Tim Holtz Sussex dies, tall something or other, and then this was their Christmas set. And again, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. But what I did with this for the Christmas, I'm reaching around me because I put it away so I wouldn't misplace it, and now I don't know where I put it. Oh, here we go. This, some people have asked what it is that came back in stock. It is Seth Apter Baked Texture Vintage Beeswax. and it's embossing powder, and I absolutely love it. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it kind of gives you this really cool, I used that on the ornament too. It just kind of gives you this really cool glazed effect, and it works especially well on top of distress ink, and I use distress ink on all of these. All right, so each of these is basically just kind of a folded over sewn envelope. So you can have a couple of your treats for the day, and then the inside piece is just a plain large piece of card. And why is it just a plain large piece of card? Well, if you were wanting to put a photo, or if you were wanting to jot down memories, or if you were wanting to put down some ephemera, memorabilia, whatever you want to do. And I did not number them in case you wanted to use 2 or 3 for one day and nothing for another day. So I didn't really create this with me in mind. I created it with an unknown user in mind, allowing them to have the versatility of making it what they wanted. So each one will have a couple treats. And normally I put them in little pockets and I glue it down, right? I put the pockets in there and I put the treats inside the pocket. I didn't do that for this one, because of the bulk. Even though I have a wide enough spine, it could have accommodated the bulk. And 2, I don't know who's going to get it, and I don't know how they want to use it. Maybe they don't want a little glassine pocket on here. So that's why I did it that way. So the inside of each of these has one of these inserts, again, to utilize as chosen. And then each one, they're all very, very similar. Again, because the paper is so beautiful. There's 6 big background solid sheets in this, and then there's tags and tabs and little bits and the ornaments and some other things. And I wanted to really focus on the gorgeousness of the paper. So I've got a little tiny journaling tag in the top of the pockets where there's a pocket. And I didn't always put pockets on. I don't always like to do everything identically the same. And I was going to punch holes in here and put charms, silver charms or baubles. But again, the paper is just so pretty. I don't want to do anything to detract from it. And here's day 2. The ones that have the pockets, those are cut out pieces from, they're just another piece of this just cut down to make into a pocket. And you can use the large tags for the same thing. And then what I did is I got just a piece of coffee dyed copy paper, and then the brown that I had used as the element here. And I made tags, and then I used just literally, I worked through my bin, and I used bits of lace and sari silk for the tops of each one. So they're all a little bit different, but they're all essentially similar. So I'll just flip through this real quickly so you can see the images again. I'm not going to show you the whole kit because Tracy does a video where she walks through her Glad Tidings kit. Tracy Fox, Love Junk Journals. And the pockets are sewn on. And then what I did is I just fussy cut some elements every once in a while to use as embellishments, to tie the 2 papers together, but and the embellishments as well. Just kind of played around with it a little bit and made it work. Sometimes I got Nouveau Deluxe Crystal Glaze on here. Sometimes I cut out, fussy cut an embellishment and used it as kind of, I don't know, like we would a die cut or a sticker, but I just used the paper. And just all different random bits. That's one of the reasons I save the small leftover little bits of lace, vintage lace, simply because they work really well on tops of these tags. And she's got a couple of the Tracy labels in the kit as well, and I just, cut out one and put it on there. So you can see they're all essentially the same, but here again, the images. So what I did to make it work, my December dailies are 31 pages so that you can, because December doesn't stop at Christmas. Advent stops at Christmas, and the candies will stop then. Well, maybe not, because, you still need candy for the rest of December. So the 6 pages are all used, and then I'd put one of the 6 full-size pages, and then I would add 2 just coffee-dyed copy paper in between, and that allowed me to have the 31 pages necessary for December. I didn't want a number on the cover, so that worked out really well for me. So there are enough pages for the whole month if it was like a monthly journal or some such thing. All right, back to where I was. And then here, so 2 coffee-dyed pages and then one of the full-size images. And then again, 2 coffee-dyed pages, and then here's the full-size image with that pretty birdie on it. And again, I just cut out bits of the extra pieces of this, and I printed it twice, cut out bits to make the the embellishments or covers or what have you for these pockets. Just trying to highlight the absolute gorgeousness and beauty of these papers. Don't know that I did that, but it was a lot of fun to try. And here you go. I like the variety of the elements, and I like the Christmas critters. I think they're beautiful. I am, this year for the first year ever, going to Chicago at Christmas for the Christkindlmark. One of my bucket list items has been to go to Germany someday for the German Christmas markets. And a friend of mine mentioned that the one in Chicago is as close as it comes in the U.S. So after school's out, we get out on the, I think 17th is our last day. I'm going to fly into Chicago and go to the Christkindlmark. So I'm really excited about that. And because of that, my December daily needs to be a little bit different. And I'm also using the Echo Park Christmas market paper because it just seemed to work well with the idea. So that's why I'm not keeping this to myself and using it as my own December daily. That's my only reasoning. Just absolutely love, and squirrel. Hello. I saw that and I melted a little bit because I squirrel all the time. And this one I had goofed and I'd sewn this down on the page before I realized it. And so I just made a narrower tag. And this one's just a little bit different. Oh, and that reminds me, I was going to show you something. So this one I just did a flip over tag rather than a pull out tag. And you can put pictures on all of them have the opening in the back to put that paper in. I meant to stop here and I got sidetracked. All right, I did something and that's just kind of how I do it. So you can see this is the exact same paper. They look different because I did something different. I stamped a light stamp of a Hero Arts bold words something on the back of each one, and I inked the edges on both of them. But the difference, and the reason for the difference in color, is after I was done stamping the words, I used, I'm going to grab it. I meant to have it out here and I forgot. I used Tim Holtz's Distress Glaze. And what it does is it's kind of a mixed media thing. Again, it's designed to hold, to seal your image in so you can stamp on top of it or what have you. But I like it because it adds, just especially when you use distress ink, it adds a depth to the color. Sure, I could have used a darker cardstock, but I like that the color is kind of not even all the way through, and that you almost get like this leather feel when it's done. So you just wipe it on with your finger and take it off with a dry towel. And it not only darkens the color, but it gives you this really cool texture. It just, adds a layer to the tag. And so that's my choice. Could you use just regular cardstock and ink it? Absolutely. But that was my reason for doing it, because I like the depth that it adds. And it still, can be embellished if you wanted to embellish it more, or just use as a journaling tag as it's intended. And sometimes on these, what I did was I printed it, folded it, put it down, sewed it, and then I would maybe fussy cut an extra one and put it on top just to, to add a little bit more depth, or make I guess maybe a better way to put it is to showcase some of the absolutely gorgeous elements in this kit. Oh, you know what I was supposed to focus on this. I'm failing on my job of the 6 pages. I'll go real quick and show you the six background papers. Again, Tracy Fox Love Junk Journals, Glad Tidings. She has a video where she flips through all of the loveliness, so maybe I won't even do that. And this just looked like a New Year's Eve kind of a thing to me, and I just thought it was gorgeous. Now, the back pocket is this really old, cool boning material that my friend gave me, and then little lace bits. And I deliberately haven't put anything back there, because if I do decide to sell it, if somebody's interested, I'll ask them what they want. Do they want a place for pictures? Do they want a place to hold memorabilia? Do they want something for more journaling? And so that I can customize it based on what the person needs. I've got plenty of pieces and papers and such left over. This one is all journaling paper. It's just a little journaling booklet with enough pages to write one full page every day if you wanted. And then also in the back of that, I'll put some of the leftover bits so that if you were wanting to embellish a page after you write on it, that of course you can. So that is Glad Tidings by Tracy Fox. Absolutely gorgeous kit. If, like I said, if you were wanting to make an advent calendar, a December daily, or just even a Christmas cards, they're stunning and beautiful for that. All right, a couple things, and now I'm going to turn the glare back on. Sorry, I'll angle the lights away. Let's see. There were a couple things I wanted to cover. All right, for the cover, for the Christmas and then the numbers. What I do is I'll cut it a couple times, and then when I glue them together, I'll stack it, and that gives me that dimension that you saw in there. Now, what I do with the numbers is I took a piece of that brown plain paper, and I folded it over on itself to make it double thick, and then I cut them, and it worked just fine. And I tried that with this thicker cardstock, and even with the shim and everything else, it just didn't cut through. So it works great for thinner paper. It doesn't work great for thicker paper. So what I did is I just took the brown paper, which was thinner, folded it over, used glue stick to glue it in place, and then cut it through that way, and then did it twice for each number, and then stacked them, and that gave me that tiny bit of dimension without making it too bulky. So keep that in mind as you're working through. When I am crafting, like I said, I don't care for a mess, so I've been using these baking tins, and I really like them for keeping little bits and pieces and scraps organized as I'm working through. Another thing, I started with this one, and again, you can see a little bit of that dimension there. It adds just enough that it makes it stand up off the Mary. But I started adding lace, and I didn't love it because it was just, here you can see it again, it took away too much from the paper, and it was a good reminder for me. I saved these and I'm sharing them. It's a good reminder for me to be mindful of the look that I'm going for when I start. Like this, I really love this chubby birdie. I think he's beautiful, but the lace just kind of, I don't know, it kind of took away from the beauty of the paper, which is what I wanted to focus on. And this is here because, oh, I sewed it on wrong. Yeah, that happens. And here I glued this on before I started sewing. And so these are just kind of reminders to myself. I'll reuse them for something else, but just to be mindful and begin with the end in mind. I had made this to show you, here is just that brown cardstock, I doubled over, naked, with nothing. It's just the cardstock. And here it is where I've inked it just a little bit, gone over it and inked it. I don't know how well you can tell, but it adds a little depth to the color. If I'd used a darker brown cardstock, it would be a solid color. This, I've got variations of color because of the ink. And then this last one, it's inked and glazed. And again, I don't know how well you can tell, but in real life, it's got a leathery feel, and it's kind of got a smooth finish. It just adds another dimension. And these are all the leftover bits and pieces. And yes, oh, see, here you go. I will use those for different things, maybe Christmas tags or some such. Last thing that I was going to show you really quickly is, I've got a couple of them here. To get splatters, I put splatters on a couple of the pages. In fact, I'll show you here, when the kit comes, this page doesn't have snow splatters, and I wanted something soft and subtle. It comes solid. Where did I put that paper? I could show you. Oh, here it is. Oh, here we go. So you can see, here is that paper. There are no snowflake splatters, what have you, on this one. There are on some others. But I really wanted the snowflake splatters, so you can see in here that I've added that. And the way I did it was using gouache. Like I said, acrylic paint works, but I find acrylic paint to be a little bit brighter. All right. There's no, you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be, you don't have to know what you're doing. You don't have to be a mixed media artist. Just what I do is same thing with acrylic paint. I just put a little bit. You don't need much. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. Put a little bit, angle it that way, a little bit on your work surface, and then spray a squirt or two of water. Sorry if you can hear Ollie. He's not happy with me because I'm not petting him right now and I'm talking. And then I just mix it around. Some people say you use a wide spatter brush. Some people say use a narrow brush. I don't know. I haven't found that much difference, honestly. And then I'm using the brown cardstock, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Now, I make a mess. Use a splatter box, use the background, but for the sake of this, I just don't care. Okay, I didn't pick up enough. See, and that's great to know because sometimes that'll happen. I didn't make it thin enough. So what I have to do, add a little bit more water. Watch, it's not going to cooperate because I'm on camera. Add a little bit more water. Oh, there you go. And I get some really cool splatters. I think and hope you can see that. When it dries, it kind of blends in a little bit more to the background and it gives you that soft snow effect. All right, that is just with a regular old paintbrush. Some people say always use a Tim Holtz splatter brush because you'll get better splatters. Well, maybe you will. I don't know, but the paintbrush works. And here's the Tim Holtz splatter brush. And let's see, I'll pick up some of that color. And then you pull it back like this. I mean, he does it way better than I do, but same idea. And honestly, I guess maybe you do have a little more control. I don't know. I don't see that big of a difference between the two. If you've got a splatter brush, use it. If you want a subtler one, maybe it gives you a subtler background, or maybe that was just because there was less paint on it. Honestly, don't know. All right, there you go. That is Glad Tidings and how I put it together. Couple things coming up. We're going, some friends and I are going to do a New Year's Day kind of a fun thing, and I'll give you more information on that probably in December after I finalize some things with the ladies. And Stamperia Forest inserts. What my plan is, I'm going to show you 5 different, here, I'll put the book up here while I'm talking because you don't want to listen to me. I'm going to give you 5 different inserts. One is going to be, or 2 are going to be writing based. They're going to be mostly for people who want to write, and they're going to be 2 different styles. One is simply writing, and one is going to be more writing plus a little bit. And then there's going to be, so that's 2 of the 5 inserts. There's going to be an insert that is designed to have a combination of writing and memorabilia. And then there's an insert that's going to be a combination of writing and photos. And then the last one will be anything goes kind of a thing. There'll be spots for photos, there'll be spots for memorabilia, and there'll be place for writing. So that's what I've got going. And again, Glad Tidings, Tracy Fox, Love Junk Journals. Thank you for watching and happy creating.